Party with your host, Dustin Rybka.
Hello and welcome to Sex Party. I'm your host, Dustin Rybka, and this week we've got a big one. This is a big show. One of the biggest creators on OnlyFans is here, Adelia Acker, aka Deelz. She's going to chat with me about what led her to start an OnlyFans, what happened right away when she started an OnlyFans, how much money she made. Spoiler alert, it's staggering. And advice for starting an OnlyFans. We're going to chat about drugs, her amazing podcast, That's Offensive. And towards the end of the episode, Adelia goes through the burner. So please enjoy my conversation with Adelia, aka Deelz Acker.
This week's conversation.
Adelia, aka Deelz, how are you doing? Welcome to Sex Party.
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Yeah, so that's like a loaded question. How are you is like the most loaded question of all time, I feel like. Don't you feel that way?
Yeah, there's like so many things that I can say with how my day went so far. Like, I was supposed to move into my house yesterday, and then I got there and there's like daddy long legs everywhere. And I'm terrified of bugs, and I need to get the house sprayed before I move in, which is why I'm still in my apartment. I was supposed to be in the house already. And then today the owner came by without like I was expecting like a 30-minute warning, and he just kind of popped in, and I'm like, what if I was naked? Like, he doesn't know what OnlyFans is because he's like 95, but like, what if I was naked? Because that is what I do for work. And then I gave him a hug goodbye. And then he's like, you have no idea how nice that was, and let out a sigh. And I'm like, I can't tell if he's being like a nice old man or if he's being overstepping some boundaries. So it's been, I'm like telling the realtor, like, tell him that he needs to call me like 30 minutes before he comes.
Yeah, I definitely feel like he's encroaching some boundaries for sure. That's a weird I mean, I get it. Like, you're not sure because he's old and potentially sweet.
Beautiful a few times.
Yeah.
So that was like, I think he has. Oh, well, I thought it was a joke because it was like the first time he said something. But I was like, ooh, I need to befriend the neighbor boys, because they both have pools. And I was like, just making jokes about like going on a date with one of them because one of them looked hot but douchey. And he was like, well, I'm standing right here.
Oh, God.
Yes, you're a 95-year-old man, but that's why I thought he was joking. And then it was progressively has gotten like, oh, I know he's interested in me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like older people, I'm not trying to hate on old people, right? But I feel like they are more like apt to crush some boundaries and like really be like dickish because they're old, right? Like they feel like they can get away with it maybe.
Yeah, I just really don't want him to like walk in on me naked or to just like make unannounced appearances. Like today he was trying to work on the garage, but it's like he's trying to work on it himself versus hire people. And I'm like, he could be here for hours, the poor little old man.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, if he's going to continue to like push the boundaries and whatever, then let's not worry about it. Fuck that. Yeah. Like that's not, go fucking sweat it out in the garage, buddy. That's not cool. And I would imagine that happens to you a lot in life where you have like schemy dudes that are like, always trying to touch you and like.
I would say it's happened a lot, which is funny because like I'm a big raver, and like rave like culture is supposed to be peace, love, unity. Oh my God, what's the last one? Is the last one just rave? Peace, love, unity. Oh, respect.
Yeah.
And I have been groped the most at raves until I started buying more VIP tickets because I just don't think there's as much room to grope. Like the one guy who groped me, I yelled at him and tried to get security to kick him out. So he better be scared. But it's mainly happened at raves. But I do think I give off a very assertive energy in person where I scare a lot of men, which is great for me. I don't get hit on a lot, but it's like great for me. And then my friends always like to keep me around because it's also great for them that I scare the men off of them too.
Yeah, no, you need somebody in the group It's always good, I think, when they're assertive and they're like alpha, kind of like, what are you doing, man? Or what, or whatever, because then
Yeah.
they're not going to be grabbing everyone, whatever. And I think before we even get into that, for the people, because I have so many questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try to like make them not questions that you've answered a trillion times. I'm sure we're gonna
Okay.
get some of them right, but like
Yeah.
we're gonna have fun. But for the people who don't know who you are and aren't familiar with your OnlyFans, with your background, with who you are, can you talk a little bit about who you are and what you do, what you're known for?
Yeah, so my name is Adelia, or my alter ego was Deelz, and the reasoning behind that was because I grew up with very religious Christian parents who have slut shamed me since I was like in probably middle school, and I've heard them slut shame other people basically since birth. And I feel like I've always kind of known I'm a slut at heart, and I am using the word slut in a very endearing way. It's funny because I don't even really fuck people, but I'm trying to kind of reclaim the word to not make it as like derogatory or
Right.
demeaning. So it's like when I use the word slut, I'm like, oh, you're such a slut. It's a good thing. I'm not ever gonna like use the word slut to be mean to someone. So I feel like I've known I was like a slut and more promiscuous since like middle school when I started watching Jersey Shore and The Girls Next Door, like the Playboy Bunny Mansion when I was in middle school. And then by high school, I was by middle school, I was over here stealing thongs from wherever I could like steal thongs because my parents wouldn't let me buy them, or trying to steal like thong bathing suit bottoms because like my parents wouldn't let me buy them. And then by high school, I was over here wearing short shorts and my mom would throw them away when I wasn't home. And I feel like this is important. I don't know how it relates though, but my parents sent me to rehab for weed my senior year of high school in Utah. So like Mormon country, Utah, where I guess they all hate women, is what I've gathered from going to school. Well, not school. It was like a school mixed in with the rehab, but I was there for 7, 8 months with no phone, no contact to the outside world. No one knew where I was. It was like very dehumanizing. And then when I went to college, I got really into raving. And I feel like that's how I was known on social media for a really long time. In the past year and a half, I think I've gotten a lot more of a mainstream audience. But before that, I was only known for raving. So now I think I'm just known for my TikTok lives that I do a few hours a day, almost every day. And that's how I gain almost all my followers, because TikTok doesn't really push my content like it used to. I used to be getting at least one video a week with like 20,000 plus likes. Like I would have a lot of videos going viral and I didn't have to try as hard as I did now. Now I have to try really hard. And that's why I do my TikTok lives, because that is just what pops off. So I'll be on TikTok live anywhere from like 3 to 4 hours a day. And I think that's where most people from my Instagram come from, because I've been gaining about 1,000 followers a day just from my TikTok lives on Instagram.
That's awesome though. I mean, it's still like, right. It's like still numbers. I mean, Instagram, I feel like even if you're not in the sex work category, I mean, I have a sex podcast and they're constantly like finding ways to shadow ban or like burying all my shit. So I can't even imagine like what you go through with Instagram and TikTok.
I've had my Instagram deleted so many times and it's actually crazy. Like my numbers went down a lot in June on OnlyFans because my Instagram and TikTok were both deleted in the beginning of this month. On Instagram, I was deleted for impersonating myself. And I think my Instagram was gone. And this is like the second or third time I've been deleted for that. And my Instagram was gone for like 8 or 9 days or something. And my TikTok was gone for like 2 weeks. And then I just got an email saying it was an accident. And I'm like, no shit. I got deleted with like no violations. And sorry, I burp a lot. I don't know if
go for it.
But and then I like had my whole birthday trip where I spent a lot of money, and then after my birthday trip I got COVID, so I was out for like 10 days and I'm still so tired. Right. Even though so my numbers went down, so now I'm like I got to start grinding it out again. And it just sucks that like when you're an influencer, or I'm not an influencer, let's be real. When I'm a sex worker, my numbers are really like I can't just take a week off and expect my numbers not to be hit.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Like 2 weeks out of the month, or a little more than 2 weeks, where it's like I wasn't producing what I usually produce.
Right, and it fucks with your income like right away, right? But it also like it pushes that shit down a hill, so then you got to push it back up. So for weeks you're trying to regain all of this stuff or whatever.
Yeah, I think my numbers right now in like the past week of me working my ass off have gone back up to like what they were. But
Yeah.
it's like I'm taking like a break from my podcast and just focusing on like doing as many YouTube collabs, as many podcasts, like whatever I can do to get my face back out there since like that
Right.
was so stressful.
Yeah, no, I mean, the day I launched my podcast, like, and within 5 minutes they like took it down because there's sex party on Instagram, and I had to like send do all, like, I was lucky that I was like really on it because it was launch day. I had
Yeah.
been teasing this thing for like a year, and then here's the trailer, and they took it down, and
Uh-huh.
so I mean, it took me 8 hours, but right in the middle of launch, it was 8 hours to get it back up. So I can't even imagine. But like the feeling of having your own shit taken down, you feel like trash. Like I was just like a trailer of me talking to a certain guest. I mean, I can only
Yeah.
imagine when it's your body, the way you're expressing yourself, and they take that down. Like, sorry, you can't do that. We're dicks or whatever, you know?
The more times it's happened, I think like the less it affects me. But I got my Instagram deleted about this time last year, and it was deleted for 2 months because like the first person I paid actually just stole my money, and I thought he was working on it the whole time. And then the
Yikes.
second person was able to get it back in like 30 days. But I was like in a full blown depression, and the first Instagram that my dad actually made me delete, and it was just growing so quickly. I had like the best engagement I ever had, and him making me delete that Instagram, it crushed me. Like I was depressed the whole summer. I literally had friends tell me how annoying I was because I couldn't shut up about my Instagram, because like what I do on social media, I really put like so much effort and energy. Like back with my old Instagram that my dad made me delete, I was over here having my friends take pictures of me every single week. I would, with like each set of pictures my friends would take of me, I would email, or not email, like send Instagram DMs to almost every single Instagram I could find that posted college girls. And like that would be hours a week I would spend doing that. And my Instagram was blowing up because people were posting me. And this was like before you even had to pay for shout outs. Like this was just at
Right.
a much simpler time. Like
Yeah.
people just wanted to post you for the fun of it. Um, and like to have that Instagram ripped away when it's like I had maybe like 45,000 followers and was getting 7,000-8,000 likes, like that was crazy engagement.
Yeah, that's insane. Whether it's back then or now, like that kind of engagement is insane. I'm wondering, just real quick, can we jump back to, so when you're younger, right, and your parents are like sheltering you, like putting you through all the bullshit and like talking down to you and like making you delete your Instagram and sending you to boarding school or rehab or whatever, right? Like they're doing all these things. Do you think that did that make you more, like, did that make you want to be more sexual because you couldn't have it and you wanted it more? Or do you think it's just, you're just a sexual person and that wouldn't have mattered?
I don't think it would have mattered. Like, I think I was like a little bit rebellious in terms of drugs. Like, I don't even like to smoke weed, but
Right.
like I would kind of do it because I knew my parents didn't want me to.
Right.
Or like I would take like ecstasy in high school. My parents didn't know about that though, because like the reason I actually did ecstasy is because I'm like, yo, this will be out of my system in a few days for when they drug test me. Like, easy. um, but I just think I was like always meant, like I was always just like more sexual. Like even when I was like a devout Christian in sixth grade, I would have like fantasies about fucking people. And I would always be like, oh my God, I'm sinning, like try to get my mind off of it. And like, I don't know. I just always, and then by the time I was a freshman in high school, I still considered myself a Christian. And then I started dating this guy where it's like, I wanted to do all of these things with him. And that was the moment I was like, okay, if being a Christian means I can't have fun in my real life, then I don't want to care about my afterlife. Like I'm just going to do what's fun in my actual life. And that was the moment I was like, I just wanted to like fuck people. Like my virginity was the smallest deal ever. Like I actually think that I care, like sex is more meaningful now as an adult than it was when I was like in high school. Cause in high school, I wanted my virginity over with. I wanted to fuck guys I thought I like were hot. I didn't have like the emotional attachment I do now. But I do know there's like a lot of trauma in that where it's like I turned my emotions off. back then. So it's like I didn't really let myself get that attached or connected to people. But it was a lot easier to kind of hoe around back then. Now I can't hoe around.
Well, I mean, with the level of fame or notoriety that you have, I'm sure that makes. I mean, it's what you want. It's your goals, your career. It's fucking awesome. But I'm sure it makes things also like blessing and a curse, right? It's like there's certain things that are more difficult.
I mean, it's actually funny because since I've had an OnlyFans, I think more guys have wanted to date me than ever. It's just like I'm not interested in the
Right.
ones who want to date me.
Yeah, of course.
Um, I'm just not interested in anyone right now. Like I've been working a lot on myself, and it's like I've noticed some of my unhealthy like attachment styles even with my friends. So I'm like my unhealthy attachment styles will just be amplified if I actually like someone. So I need
Right.
to work on that shit first, cuz like every relationship I've ever been in, I find myself really embarrassing. Like I am embarrassed by the way I acted. And here's the thing, I know if I got into a relationship right now, I would act the same way all over again. So I just need to be single. Here's the thing, I've only had one guy in my whole roster of men give me mind-blowing sex where I was like, I didn't even like him that much as a person. Like if you left us alone in a room, I feel like we couldn't strike up conversation. But the sex was so good, I thought I wanted to date him. And it's like we were doing a lot of datey things because, like, I mean, I'm really good friends with all of his roommates. And that's actually how I met him. So it's like we were doing a lot of datey things, but it's like when it came down to a relationship, we couldn't. I mean, he ended up dating a girl like 2 days after he hooked up with me. He like fucked her once and was like, this is the girl I want to date. And
Oh
now they're still
man.
dating. But I mean, it worked out for the best because I was just really dickmatized is what I call it. And then I haven't had sex since like October. And the only reason I had sex in October was because I really wanted it for like OnlyFans content. And then I just didn't really like my interactions with the guy, which is funny. I've been friends with him for like 6-7 years, but I also just didn't like the way he treated me, I guess. Yeah, I didn't really enjoy it. Like he said he would make OnlyFans content for free. And then after we made the content, he's like, actually, you got to pay me.
Oh
And
wow.
it just felt like I've never had sex feel that transactional to where like, even though I enjoyed the sex, I felt really gross afterwards. But to him, he's like, well, what, like, you're making all this money. Like, why would it be such a big deal to pay me? And I just felt like very deceived and like manipulated.
Yeah, that's definitely
I feel like even if it's just sex, like that was still kind of shady. Like even
sure.
though there was no feelings involved, like it was
Right.
just shady even as like a friends with benefits.
Yeah, I mean, especially like to say one thing and then go through with it and then totally do the opposite. Like, what the fuck?
Like
That's
after filming content for all that
sure.
time.
Yeah. Um. So before you started OnlyFans, before you became one of the biggest or bigger creators on OnlyFans,
Mhm.
before all that, I'm wondering if we could chat about your decision to do it, right? But
Yeah.
almost from the mindset of how nervous were you about it, the judgment, all of that. The reason I put it in that context is because a lot of women that I talk to around the show, they are really curious about OnlyFans, right? They want to do it, but then they don't, and then they're worried about this or worried about that. They only want to show their feet, all of those things. So I'm wondering if you could
Yeah.
come to it from a place, that kind of place.
What I will say is like OnlyFans is not the market it was a year or two ago. For anyone wanting to join, it's not quick, easy money anymore. Like a year ago, I was working half as hard to make over double the money I was making. Now it's like really hard to make money. I'd say like yeah, I don't know if you're only showing feet, if you're only doing like certain
Right.
things, like even my friends with almost 1 million followers who never wanted to show their vagina or like make sex tapes are over here now kind of pushing their boundaries because they're like, I can't make money doing what I was doing before. But I mean, my thought process before making an OnlyFans, it's funny because when I actually made my OnlyFans, I already processed all of the shame and guilt and whatever before making it. I got approached in like February of 2020 about making one. It was actually by the guy, like Dirty Dom, who was in David Dobrik's vlogs, who now has sexual assault allegations. So I'm really glad I didn't do it with him. But he was the one who reached out to me to join his OnlyFans agency. And then he was like, you don't even have to like be naked. You can just post stuff in bathing suits, whatever, whatever. And then that got my brain thinking. And like some of my friends were like, why don't you do it? And then other of my friends were like, no, don't do it. And then I'm like, well, I'm just not going to use my body for money. And I remember I just kept thinking this way until I take a lot of psychedelics. So I was doing like shrooms almost every weekend, and I was tripping acid a lot. And then I was getting really, really depressed at my corporate job to the point I was like borderline throwing up every day. Yeah, and no, there were a lot of days I did throw up. It was just like so bad, and I had a pretty verbally abusive boss, and I'm like, how the fuck do I get out of this? Because I'm literally living paycheck to paycheck right now. So imagine me living paycheck to paycheck and then not being able to find another job. And, I took some acid and really got down to thinking, and I was like, well, what is my issue with OnlyFans? And then I realized my issue with OnlyFans was like the shame put on me from my parents growing up, and put on me, like the shame just put on me from all of my like conservative college friends, which, a lot of my college friends weren't even really friends. Like there were so many people who like called my Instagram, like they called me a porn star for my Instagram before I was even a porn star.
Right.
Just very not socially aware of things going on around them. And it's a lot of the same people who are over here supporting the Roe versus Wade decision. And I'm like, a year and a half, almost 2 years later, I'm like, yeah, who the fuck cares what they think? But it was really hard for me because I've grown up being such a people pleaser. I didn't want anyone to be embarrassed or ashamed of me. And then on this one acid trip, I'm like, a week from today, I'm going to make an OnlyFans and quit my fucking job. And I was able to process all of the shame before making one. Although when I did make one, I had a lot of anxiety about when my parents were going to find out. But they didn't even find out till like a year later. It was crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. So you said to yourself, okay, in a week, I'm gonna work through this shame. I'm gonna process that. I'm gonna start at OnlyFans. I'm sick of feeling like this at
Yeah.
work, anxiety, and all of those things. And then so you actually did a week later start at OnlyFans.
I did. And it's actually really funny because like that night on my close friends on Instagram, like the night I ended up deciding I'm going to make an OnlyFans, I posted, I'm just going to post my body for free on my close friend stories. Actually, like, what the fuck was I doing? This is when I had just started drinking. I think that I posted it, not when the acid had hit, because I was just like so sick of like, I felt like all of these girls were trying to get me to like make an OnlyFans. So I would like use the referral code, So I'm like, I don't want to like give you guys my money. Or like, I just felt kind of like used. And then by the end of the night, I was like, fuck it. I don't think I used anyone's referral code. Just cause I don't like that feeling of like people trying to pressure me so they can like benefit off of me. And then within 24 hours of making my OnlyFans, I made a whole month's salary at my job. Which is crazy because I didn't have like a fuck ton of Instagram followers, but I think I had a very loyal Ray fan base. And then, there was a whole other level of shame, like not when I created my OnlyFans, but when I started showing my vagina, that was like a month later. Because I just, when I started my OnlyFans, I'm like, I am not going to be nude. A week later, I'm like, wait, I already basically post my tits on Instagram. Like I would post in sheer shirts and my nipples would show. I'm like, it doesn't make sense for me not to show my tits. Like that's almost rude to the people who paid for my subscription. So then I started showing my tits. And then about a month later, I just had a manager try to pressure me to start showing my vagina. And I ended up firing him after, but he did make a lot of, pretty good points. Like I'm already showing my tits, like kind of what's the difference with my vagina? And then this was unexpected. I had a lot of shame around it. Cause I'm like, once you start showing your vagina, that's like the difference between like a dirty mag girl and a porn star. At least in my head, that was like the difference between the two. And then I was like, why do I care about these labels? And then I started getting like turned on by seeing like myself play with my vag and stuff like that. And I did not expect that at all. So I unlocked like this whole level of confidence and like being more of a sexual person and like thinking of myself as a little more sexy, that was unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like the whole process from even like when you were contemplating it and you were nervous and you had sort of rules for yourself before, if I do it, I'll only do this, those things.
Mhm.
From that moment all the way through, it sounds like it was a constant like evolution for you, like mentally, physically, you know what I mean? Like you're evolving
Yeah.
into like creating the content, not only that you think will like hit, but like that you enjoy doing, which I think is a huge point because creating content's not easy, right? Creating content naked has got to be fucking whatever. But if you can create content where you're naked and you like what you're doing, I think that's like a power that people are really struck by.
Yeah. And there are definitely days that I don't like making content too. Like I just got over mold poisoning this year. I
Oh,
was
wow.
taking detox pills actually till I think May was the last month. So it's only been a month since I stopped taking my detox pills from the mold, and like almost all of my sex drive went away. Like I didn't even want to masturbate, let alone masturbate for other people. But it's like when my sex drive is there, I'm so excited to create content because it's like thrilling and I'm horny and like but it definitely comes across when you're not in like a good physical or mental headspace.
Yeah. And I think so that's a huge point to make because people can tell, right? But you
Mhm.
can tell. And
Yeah.
so if you're like you start to do content where you're like, I'm not really feeling this, but I have to do it, it's like becomes like any other job, right? Because you're doing things that
Hmm.
you don't really want to do just to keep the content there and keep the money coming in or whatever.
Yeah.
So when you started the OnlyFans, and you said within 24 hours, you made a month's salary.
Yeah, my old job.
Wow. So how did that make you feel? Like, what was your reaction? Were you like blown away or?
The moment, because I actually wasn't going to quit my job quite yet. And the moment I was like, I just made a month's salary in 24 hours, I walked over to my boss's apartment because we lived in the same complex. And I was like, over here, like, so, and he's like, I already know what you're going to say. I knew the second you made an OnlyFans, you were going to quit. And I think that what like surprised me most is like everyone at my old corporate job, I feel like we trauma bonded so much over like how stressful and awful the job was. And it's crazy because a week before I quit, like the verbally abusive like boss got fired. So then it was actually my friend who took his place, who I quit to. And then slowly, one by one, everyone in the office unfollowed me. And I was like, I was always posting slutty content on Instagram. So like what happened, like we all claimed to be family, we all claimed to be close, and I remember like they would make comments in the office about how they have no respect for OnlyFans girls, which now I realize is just so misogynistic, and like what, you're mad at girls for making more money than you for their bodies which you lust over.
Right. Yeah. It's the like argument is so insane. Like I was having this discussion with the previous guest and we talked about how like Pepsi or whoever during the Super Bowl can like show an ad and it's like using whomever's body. But the second that person would go and use their body and make an OnlyFans, make their own money, it's like she's a whore, right? And that's like, even if you were to, it doesn't matter, like take religion out of it, whatever, but just logically, that makes no sense.
Yeah, or like people want to say the only reason Kim Kardashian is as successful as she is because of her sex tape. And I'm like, you know how many celebrities have had sex tapes leaked and none of them are fucking billionaires? She worked her ass off to be where she
Boom.
is. Like the
Yeah,
sex tape helped her career. Yeah, no
sure.
shit. But
Yeah.
she got to where she is because one of her mom, Chris, but two of her dedication, work ethic, etc. Like, I don't know how people try to take that away from her because of one sex tape. And it's like, I have like 4 sex tapes all with the same guy, and I'm working my ass off to get where I am. Like,
Right.
there's maybe not millions. I don't know how many girls are on OnlyFans, but there's definitely like hundreds of thousands of girls selling sex tapes and, maybe making like 2,000 a month, maybe less.
Yeah. And I think when you start out, right, and you kind of have to, as with anything, like like we talked about, like evolve into what you're comfortable with, what you want to do, those sorts of things. So when you started out, was there a moment where it went from like, okay, I made a month's salary in 24 hours to like, holy shit, this is out of control? Like where was that moment at? Like where it was like, it was a whole other thing. How long did that take?
I mean, honestly, I didn't start making like the money I'm making today until I had my first podcast episode come out with my old podcast partner, and then one of the guys who he's like in charge of marketing and operations and stuff. He reached out and was like, "Hey, if you and your podcast partner make a Safe for Work OnlyFans page, we'll push you." And put you on suggested. And at that time, I think we were maybe like the third or fourth people on the suggested page on OnlyFans. And all of a sudden, like I was getting thousands of subscribers a day, and my money just like, that was when I was like, I'm making so much money. I almost like don't know what to do with it. And I try to like reinvest most of it back into, write off. So like my Instagram shout outs, the podcast, stuff like that, which actually I've been pretty good at keeping my taxes really low, which has been nice. I just spend a lot of my money, but I also have my financial advisor take out money so I don't spend it all.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's amazing. Fucking congratulations. I mean,
Thank you. The suggested page doesn't work the way it used to, but it used
Sure.
to go crazy.
Yeah. I think like nothing works the way we're in a weird space with everything. I think TikTok, Instagram, OnlyFans, like all of it is like struggling to like keep this sort of frenetic pace that makes no sense. Like it just doesn't make any sense. It's like, wait a minute, if people like this, why are we not giving people more? I mean, it's gone. It's like, what the fuck's happening?
There's just so much saturation in every app. Like I've actually, and this gives me so much anxiety, so I don't know why I keep doing it, but I think I love to torture myself. But like on Instagram, I'll look at, famous YouTubers, famous people's Instagrams, and like even famous TikTokers, and I'll go on their Instagram. I'll see like a year ago they were getting over 1 million likes, and now they're maybe getting like 100, 200,000. And that gives me so much anxiety because I'm like, is it saturation? Like what is going on? If a famous person's engagement is shit, like what does that say about about my engagement and where it can go? Although Instagram, the engagement does favor hot girls, I don't think TikTok's algorithm favors hot girls as much because you as much have too much boob showing and they'll delete you a lot. Yeah. TikTok is very particular about who they push out. But if you are a hot girl on Instagram and you're doing a lot to try to keep traffic coming in, like my engagements always stayed the same. But like, for David Dobrik, I was stalking his Instagram. He was getting like 1 million likes a year ago. And I saw he posted a reel that only got like a few thousand likes. Wow. And, I don't know why I pay attention to stuff like that, but I try to see like, what the trends are and where people are headed. And that was mind blowing to me.
Well, I think you're really smart for paying attention to stuff like that because you have an OnlyFans, you have a fucking amazing podcast, right? And those things are powered by those sorts of likes and engagements. And so I think paying attention to that is, I mean, I try to with my podcast, and like just the level of how fast things change is so annoying. I mean, to deal with it on the level that you are, I can't imagine that it's easy.
Yeah, it's a lot of trying to like pay attention, and like even like my YouTube, for example, I pay a lot for YouTube ads for the podcast. And then I have people saying, stop buying views because like the like to view ratio isn't there. And I'm like, well, what do you expect? Like, how am I supposed to grow if I'm not paying for ads? Then people say I'm buying views, but the views are real people that I'm paying. Like, right. I just can't win. But I mean, my goal would be to have a good listener to like ratio. That's a big goal. We're not there yet. I gotta pay for ads.
You'll get there. You'll get there. I think you're on your way to a lot of good shit. A ton of good shit. I mean, it's just good content. Like the podcast is great. You're yourself, right? Which I think is a huge thing. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to put yourself out there and be messy and all of those things, right? And so that's a huge thing. And people can, like you said, just like with OnlyFans, same with the podcast, people can tell when you're faking the shit, right? And that's not ever any good.
It's so funny because the girl who edits my podcast is like, when you first came out with your podcast, she's like, I felt like you kept saying the word fuck like you were a little kid saying fuck for the first time because of how like nervous I was. And now that like my nerves have gone down, it just keeps getting like, at least my solo episodes, when I have a guest, it's a lot easier, but the solo episodes are always really hard. But that's why my solo episodes are like my favorite. Like it's a free therapy session for myself with my viewers.
Yeah. That's fucking super cool. And I just said fuck too. So there we go. Okay, so to jump back to when you like first ripped the Band-Aid off and said fuck it, I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. Was it a huge sense of empowerment? Because you seem like someone who's really empowered, like all the time, to me at least.
Yeah, it's actually the minute I made money on OnlyFans, I was like, I want to make a podcast about OnlyFans to help destigmatize it to other girls. And I think the mission of my podcast has changed a lot. So when I had it with my old podcast partner, it's like at first we were trying to show like not everyone on OnlyFans has sex tapes. And then the more I started doing on OnlyFans, the more I kind of wanted the podcast to switch up to be like, okay, so what if people are doing sex tapes? Like, you know, my view kind of changed the more I got involved with the world, and just I think the more like woke I became. But what sucked is my podcast partner kind of stayed in the same place. So, you know, splitting ways to just do my own podcast where it's like I can have girls on who talk about having trains ran on them, which is sick, or have people on talking about their ethically non-monogamous relationships or, you know, getting chlamydia. Like, I just really like to have people on to show like these people who you think are sluts, you know, when they think it's in a bad way.
Sure.
Like, but, you know, when people want to degrade you, it's like I'm trying to humanize them by showing this is like all the sides to their personality. Like they're more than just their sexual preferences.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what's so fucking cool about your show is that you do bring those guests on. It is an empowerment thing, sure, but it's also like, yo, how cool is this? This is also a human being. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what I like about your show and about the guests that you choose. It says a lot about who you are and what you're. I mean, with my show, I'm always like rallying against something. It's an an empowerment thing. Sure. And like, you know, we get slutty and have fun and whatever on the show, but we also like deliver a fucking, what I like to think is like a fuck ton of value. So, you know, you're doing that on a level that I think is really cool. And I think the more that you do it, I think the bigger it's going to get. I think, and the name of the show, your show, that's offensive. OF, right? You know, for OnlyFans, right? So that's a creative name, great branding.
Well, here's the thing. My old podcast had the word OnlyFans in it, and we got blocked on almost all of our ads. So I had to think creatively. I was like, where can the word OF fit in a word so people know that OnlyFans is involved, but without saying the word OnlyFans? Sure. So I like went on Google and looked up words that contained OF until I was like, offensive. Oh my God, OnlyFans was so offensive. Let's go.
Hell yeah. Well, and that's the other question I have too, right? Is so if you were evolving with OnlyFans and you get when did you start the podcast?
This podcast I started October of this past year.
Oh, okay. So it's a baby. It's new. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very new.
Yeah. It's older than mine. Mine started in February. So mine's a baby. Yeah. But if you're doing those things, okay, and you're being yourself and then you have an OnlyFans, how much of yourself, like the things that you're into personally, sexually, whatever the things that you like or things that you're into, how much of that are you allowing yourself to do on your OnlyFans? Is it like Deelz is like a stage name and you just kind of do what Deelz would do? Or are you actually like doing things that are Adelia, like things that you would be into in your normal life?
I mainly do things that I would be into. The only thing that I feel like I really do for other people, well, there's like two things. So, like, if I'm live on OnlyFans, I usually go live on my couch right here. And, like, one of my tip goals is to fuck myself with a dildo. Um, I think that dildos are fun to fuck when they are suctioned onto something. But to get the angle that people want, that's definitely for other people because I just can't possibly get the angle on my fucking couch.
Right.
So that's something I kind of do for other people, but I can still like kind of get into it. And then the other thing is just like anal beads. I can't get into things going in my butthole. And anal beads is the only thing I'll actually do. I won't do butt plugs anymore. I almost passed out from using one. And that was after using training butt plugs for like a month. I wish I liked things up my butt more, and I don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like you've tried every which way to figure it out. So props there.
Yeah. And I mean, things that like I just like wish, not really. It's like I kind of wish I had a boyfriend so I could make OnlyFans content with him because that would be sick. But I also know in my heart that I'm not ready to have a boyfriend. So it's like, it's just that I need to work on myself. So eventually I could be in a headspace to have a boyfriend to make OnlyFans content because I like want to make my subs happy.
Sure.
Also, I think if like I was actually fucking a boyfriend, like someone I was so in love with and into, like that OnlyFans content would be sick. Like, you know, I don't know if like this happens for guys too, but it's like if I really like a guy and I'm turned on by them, I will go ham on like when I give them head. But if I don't really like him, it's like I'm kind of just like grossed out like by his dick. And I think guys are the same with eating pussy.
Totally. Fucking totally. If you are into somebody, you can't stop yourself almost.
Yeah, exactly. So so I need to find that person I'm into to make that good OnlyFans content. Because I do think there's even some girls I've collabed with on OnlyFans that I'm just like not super into like the content we're making or whatever. And it does translate a lot.
Sure. Yeah. That again, like that of all the things you could potentially fake and get away with, that like real sexual, like raw attraction to somebody is something you can't. It's just there. It's not.
Yeah, I don't know how like actual porn stars on Pornhub do it. And like, well, actually a lot of porn stars on Pornhub, at least some of my friends are trying to like make it in the acting world because they're like, I just fake squirted and peed all over the place and I pretended I was into these people and I'm not. And like that deserves an Oscar. Like I can be an actress for real. And I'm like, yeah, you can. Are you kidding? If I was there, I'd be like a little starfish.
That's amazing.
Dead starfish, just having people do whatever to me, but like not getting into it.
Yeah, if you could like totally have it yourself turned off to it and just roll with it or whatever. But it's just one of these things where it's like that is one thing that just is so impossible to fake. Like real attraction is just this rare sort of lightning in a bottle kind of thing. You're so right.
Yeah, and I only like the weirdest looking men. Like I don't like any traditionally hot men for like I'd say 99% of the time.
Like who's do you have a celebrity or someone you're into?
I've been into Pete Davidson before anyone else was into Pete Davidson, or even like MGK. I like the tall, skinny motherfuckers that look like they do blow on a daily basis and look borderline sick. But I've been into those kinds of guys since high school, and now it's a trend to like them.
Yeah.
Like when I was in high school, everyone was like, Adelia, like, are you okay? Like, why are you going for like, do you have a gun to your head? Why are you going for these guys? And I'm like, you don't think they're hot? They're like, no.
Yeah, I think you were ahead of the curve, right? Back then. Yeah. Way ahead of it, you know? Cause they're like the skinny, like sort of like rocker might be in trouble kind of fucking dudes. Yeah, I get it. Like it is a fucking thing right now. Everybody's into Pete Davidson and MGK. And Travis Barker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So some of the like talking about your evolution with the podcast with OnlyFans, you discovered, like, so you were bi-curious before the OnlyFans? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I always considered myself like bi-curious before OnlyFans because like I had never met a girl that I wanted to date, and I still haven't met a girl I've wanted to date. So I'm pretty sure I'm like hetero-romantic but bisexual, and like my first kiss was like a girl in fourth grade, although I never like counted her because I'm like we were just like friends kissing,
Right,
kind of
right.
thing.
In
But it's like
fourth grade.
yeah, but like we were like fully like making out in like fourth grade. And then in high school, I would sometimes like want to make out with girls at parties. But like in my head, I'm like, aren't I just doing this for like attention from guys? But like here's the thing, years later, I'm pretty sure that's just what a lot of girls who are bi are told. And I'm pretty sure that was just a lot of other people's voices in my head. Like I wanted to make out with girls. And then my senior year of college, I was with some of my older guy friends in LA, and we all went to a strip club. And then at the strip club, one of the strippers, like they paid for my lap dance and they paid for my room because my guy friends were like, yeah, we fucking want to see this. So the stripper was like, are you into girls? And like, and I was so drunk, but I still remember what I said. I was like, I'm not sure. She's like, I think you are. And I remember like my vagina was throbbing and she was like feeling around in my clit and stuff. And she's like, well, I'm into girls. And, we were kind of like making out. She was like rubbing my clit and stuff. I didn't know what to do with her. I was literally like, and like, I'm never like that with guys. With guys, I feel like I'm more like I know what I'm doing, but I was just like frozen in that moment, just like so turned on, but also so like I didn't know what to do because she was a girl and I don't know. And then me and her texted a little bit after that, but I like moved to Arizona, so I didn't get to really like actually talk to her, but like she wanted to go on dates and stuff like that. And it's funny because I actually was interested in her. And on my birthday, I really wanted to fuck her, like really wanted to fuck her. And then I got like way too lit, and I couldn't. I just had to go home. But yeah, and then all this time I just thought I was bi-curious. And then I started like hooking up with girls on OnlyFans where I was getting really turned on. So then again, I was like, am I bi or am I bi-curious? And I met this girl, Kristen, and Sarah, and they both were kind of explaining to me that you can be bisexual, but like hetero-romantic. Since if you're sexually attracted to the same gender, that's bisexual.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know why. I always had like this weird, like, I'm not bisexual. Like I just find girls hot, or just because I never really could see myself dating a girl.
Right. Yeah. And I think, again, that's like another piece that you probably would have figured it out, right? But like with OnlyFans, it like got you there. Oh, really? That's
I really
interesting
don't
too.
think I would have. I think OnlyFans has opened a lot of doors for me to like kind of explore my sexuality, what I'm into, what I like, what I don't like, even like finding myself really attractive, stuff like that. There's so many doors that I don't think I could have opened without OnlyFans. Like, I mean, honestly, I don't think I would have figured out I was bisexual for like maybe 20 more years if I were to, because I was just so out of touch with my own sexuality before OnlyFans. And with OnlyFans, I was able to get very in tune with it and figure it out.
That's fucking incredible, right? Because like that's real empowerment. Like you are totally discovering, and all the while you're doing that, you're providing yourself with like a killer income. You're getting all these opportunities, but you're also like discovering things like you just fucking said. You wouldn't have known that, maybe never, but at least for another 20 years. So like that's fucking rock on, man. I love that.
Yeah, because I mean, it literally took me hooking up with maybe like 4 or 5 girls where I was turned on by these girls to finally be like, wait, I'm actually bisexual.
Right.
And it didn't even cross my mind otherwise.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of people probably have those things where I don't know how to say this. Like there's no space in their life currently to explore those things, so they don't. But it's like in the back of their head.
Yeah, and even before I knew I was bisexual, like I just remember I mean, I have like a really bad problem. Hopefully like women aren't uncomfortable when I do this. And I understand why men, I mean, I stare at men too, but I like will just like zoom in and like not even realize how hard I'm staring at like a girl's tits or like a girl's ass. And then this was like before I knew I was like bi. And I was like, girl, just so you know, you have amazing fucking tits. And she was like, are you bi? And I was like, oh no. But I do hook up with girls for OnlyFans, but I'm not bi. And like, she was so weirded out by me. And I'm like, I compliment girls' tits all the time. And she was the first one to get weirded out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's, she even knew I was bi before I did.
Yeah, like her radar went off, right? It was funny because like in your latest episode of your podcast, like you were complimenting someone's tits or whatever, and it was just so natural, like the way you said it, like hey, your tits are so great, and I'm obsessed with your tits and all these things. So it's like you can tell that you're just like that's you, that's who you are, you know?
I'm a big like tin and ass person when it comes to girls. I don't know why. I know this is a thing for a lot of women, but I'm into girls who look like me. I don't know.
No, I mean it's super interesting.
So, but like men, I don't want guys who look like me, but like it's like I want to kind of fuck girls who I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, no, I've heard of that like somewhere, but I've never like explored that. That's really fucking interesting. We might have to dive into that in a future episode,
Yeah.
or you can.
I mean, there's some girls who I'm into who don't look like me, but I feel like my type is blondes with fake tits.
Why do you think that is, personally?
I don't know. Like maybe it's like I'm trying to hook up with myself. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've also been like very attracted to like the stripper who I mean, I count that as hooking up because she was rubbing my clit, was the first like girl to really touch my clit. I count that. It's not like she ate me out or anything, but I still count that as like my first hookup. But I mean, she was like brunette and like no tits and skinny, and I was really into her. So I'm not like pigeonholing myself, but I would say, I mean, also with like tall, skinny men, I don't pigeonhole myself to that.
Right.
But you know, it's rare that it skews.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. But I know that is a big thing in the bi community to like girls who look like you.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's super fucking interesting, actually.
I mean, Ken and Barbie, don't they kind of look alike? And people always put them together.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any meaning behind it.
I think that might, yeah. I mean, again, like that's one of those things like that would be almost like a kink or something. I feel like, you know, like people who look similar or kind of, but I think with women who look like themselves, there's something more to that. Cause you're right. It is different with like women to dudes and dudes to women. Like it's totally a different thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because me and my friend Sarah, we always like hook up for my OnlyFans and stuff like that. And we look like sisters. Like we have very, very similar curly hair. Like same kind of complexion. I mean, I think like our faces don't look extremely similar. Hers is like skinnier than mine. Mine is like rounder, and like she has more of a pointy nose and I have more of like a round nose, but it's like we still could pass off as like twins.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah.
And
that
people
makes
love the content.
I'm sure.
Love the content.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm wondering if you can give some advice to kind of close off this OnlyFans section. We're gonna move on to something else. I mean, I'm sure it'll come up or whatever, but like if you could like give some real advice, right, to some women out there. I mean, it doesn't have to be women, but primarily that want to start an OnlyFans, but they're scared, the judgment, the shame, like some real tangible advice that that you could provide to them.
Definitely. I mean, with the shame and everything like that, I don't know, psychedelics helped me a lot. I mean, I highly, if you are able to take like psychedelics, I would highly recommend it because I mean, without psychedelics, I don't think I could have processed the shame like I did. And also no one, like the people that, you know, could be ashamed of you. It's like, they're not paying your bills. They're not like doing the work. And also, you know, if they think that way of sex workers, if they're ashamed of you because you're a sex worker, like, do you really want them in your life? Like, are they valuable? Like, my parents, I cut them off. I blocked my dad a year ago, and my mom I only just started talking to again a few months ago, because I just don't see the reason to have people in my life who look down on me for something that should be totally normalized, in my opinion. But if you are thinking about starting an OnlyFans, like, it is a business. Like, you have to think very, very business minded. Like, I would not even think about starting an OnlyFans until you build up a solid TikTok, Reddit, Instagram, and Twitter following. I would say all four, because of how hard it is to make money these days. Like, you need to have a solid fan base. Like, find your niche, find what people like about you, and try to capitalize off of that. And like, once you start getting at, like, I would say about a few thousand followers on TikTok a week, I would say, you know, that could be the time to start your OnlyFans. But don't just start one without planning beforehand. You know, you want people to be suspenseful. You want people to be wondering. You want it to be a big deal when you launch it. So build that suspense up and definitely have a very solid fan base before you do that. Also, if you do start an OnlyFans, a lot of girls don't know this. Never use the word OnlyFans on TikTok or Instagram. Never use the word. If you want to link your OnlyFans, don't. Just don't. I personally, I have a website that you have to click again to even see the OnlyFans link. So it'll be like my website with like my YouTube, Instagram, whatever. And then it's like, visit my fun links. And then you have to press again to even go there. So I link that. And when I link it, it's a completely black background. So Instagram can't say I'm sexually soliciting whatever.
Right.
Read the guidelines for everything. Read the guidelines for TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, even Snapchat. You know, read the guidelines so that you can avoid getting deleted, because nothing sucks more than getting your shit deleted and then your income being completely slashed.
Yeah,
So
fuck that.
those are very tangible. I think that's pretty good advice for everybody.
That's a fucking masterclass, like baked into a 2-minute answer. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for giving that. So my next question is, I'm wondering, from someone who is doing the sex work, right? Who's on OnlyFans, has a podcast that's profound in that sex work, but also like the conversation of sex, who has the life experience that you do, who's a bisexual woman. How does the Roe v. Wade ruling make you feel, right? And also, what are some, again, like, back half of the question, what are some tangible things we could do about it?
Yeah, I have been like, I was like crying for at least a few days straight. And now I'm just like, everyone out there, I'm sorry if you can hear my dog licking her water in the background. That is Miss Wubbs, who wants to make a little guest appearance.
Cameo, yeah.
She's like, you haven't paid attention to me. But back to Roe v. Wade, I was just crying, so upset. Like, Saturday, I could barely eat, and I didn't get my appetite till like 5 p.m. on Saturday. And I was like, finally, like, I can eat. And here's the thing. Like, everyone just needs to vote Democrat at this point. Like, here's the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is that Democrats don't even like the Democratic Party, but it is the better fucking option than voting Republican and having our rights fucking stripped. Like, everyone in Arizona, you know, Doug Ducey is over here trying to make like the strictest abortion laws ever. And I'm like, you do realize your son has making a lot of girls take Plan B, and, you know, your son has probably had a few girls get abortions, and you're trying to make the strictest abortion laws. So I just don't even think it's an option to vote Republican anymore. And I've never seen this many people, even Republicans, say they want to vote Democrat, because this is just basic human rights. And I've heard a lot of Christians say that they are so happy this is happening because Christianity is being lost amongst our generation. And I'm over here like, so you want your religion to be involved with government forcibly because so many people are losing like traditional Christian values that are low-key racist, misogynistic. You know, when the Bible was written, even when the Constitution was written, there was slaves. Like, of course, there needs to be updates on basic human rights to be inclusive to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. Please
Yeah.
continue.
I'm just angry. I was gonna do the marches and stuff like that, but I've like yet to do a march, and I just think like talking about it on social media, it gets. I mean, it sucks because so many men who follow me are big like Trump supporters and big like conservatives, and I can't just block them, you know, because if they spend money on me, it's not like I can always ethically love everybody who gives me money.
Sure.
And I think I'm better off with their money than they are. But it just it just sucks how many people still believe that women don't deserve rights. Like, I've literally had a boyfriend, or I mean, I wasn't dating him at the time. This was after we broke up. But you know, he told me he wouldn't fuck me if I wanted to use a condom. If I wanted to use a condom, and he was over here raw dogging quite a few girls. I was like still clean after that, surprisingly, but it's like, and I wanted his love and validation so bad. I'm like, whatever you want, baby. So it's like, and he is one of the men being like, fuck abortions now. And I remember we were messaging, and I'm like, you know, damn well I would have had an abortion if we would have got pregnant. Like, damn well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I
so
mean,
frustrating. And I think the men who keep saying this about women, like, I just think a lot of them look at women as like less than, like they just don't see us as human beings. They see us as objects, like baby carriers, as sex objects. Like, you know, we don't want to have sex with them, they get mad. We don't want to carry their babies, they get mad. We don't want them to catcall us, they get mad. It's just they seem to stay mad about everything.
yeah, it seems to be like, you know, that seems to be like the male way of everything, is like alpha, pissed off all the time, like you control, blah, or whatever. And that's why, you know, like that's why doing this show is different, because I think people, it's Sex Party, it's a fucking heterosexual white dude, it's going to be a show about how he's never got a good blowjob or whatever. And the show is not like that. It's different. Yeah. And we're talking about like, yeah, like again, we talk about like the OnlyFans and squirting and fucking gangbangs and all the fucking stuff. But we're also like talking about stuff that matters to everybody. That's why I wanted to ask you about it, because I feel like you have a lot to say, but I think what you say has a lot of weight to it, because sex is important to all of us, but sex is also like it's in your day to day more than it is normal people. And I just wanted to get your opinion on record, you know?
Even when I was in 6th grade and my parents were the most Republican conservative, like I remember my mom even tried to make me watch like anti-abortion propaganda. And even as a 6th grader, I didn't know why I thought what I thought, but I'm like, all women should be able to get an abortion. And like, I mean, I've just had like a hatred of kids since I was like in middle school-ish. Like I think I've always known, like, my old therapist, but fuck her, but my old therapist has it on record, me in 7th grade saying I will never have kids, signed. And now it's over like 12, 13 years later, and I still am like, I am never having kids. I'm actually looking to get my tubes tied right now in case the Supreme Court rules that, you know, no one can get an abortion. So I'm getting my tubes tied just in case.
Yeah, I don't fucking blame you. I mean, totally. I don't know what I would do if I was a woman. And that's the thing, is it's like nobody knows. Yeah. Well, no, but I understand that logic. And anytime I see something on social, like, snip it up, guys, I'm like, I always like that shit. Yeah. It's not something I would do, but I'm also like not running around like shame. I think abortion is everyone's right. It's like basic human health care, right? It's like, why would we take away someone's ability to do something that makes them either healthy or unhealthy. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me. It never has. I've always been that way. My mom is a diehard Democrat, so I've
Lucky.
had that since. Yeah, I am very lucky. I've had that since I was a little kid. But you're right. You even when you're a child, you can see the logic in it or lack of.
I could see the logic in that. I think there were a lot of things with my parents being very Republican that I had to unlearn over time. Like, so ashamed to admit this, but like I used to be an all lives matter person until I became educated just because of the way my parents raised me. And then I realized, oh, wow, that is fucking stupid. I need to never say that again. And it took a lot of unlearning and also swallowing my pride and also like, just that ego always wanting to be like, no, I was right. But it's like, no, I wasn't right. And I need to admit I was wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, the theme of this fucking episode is evolution, growth, right?
Mhm.
There's more of it right there.
Yeah.
To cap this episode off, I have a segment called The Burner. It's like 8 to 10 questions, depending if they're kind of like left field questions. We sort of move through them quickly. You don't have to go through it. So like, do you want to go through the burner or do you want to decline?
Yeah, we can go through the burner. I have nothing else to do.
Great. Perfect. Okay. Question 1, name something you wish men would stop doing.
Oh God. Okay. I like the first thing that came to my mind was just like existing the way they do.
That's fair.
I feel like men need to stop this whole I'm an alpha male with like a podcast and we're better than women and we're smarter than women and women are so emotional, but it's actually the men who are emotional. I just like men need to become more self-aware. I think that's what they need to do, more self-aware and more socially aware of what's going on around them.
Yeah, no, I agree. We need to reboot men. Okay. Question 2, name something you wish women would stop doing.
Oh my God. Actually, I just made a TikTok about this on like my burner TikTok, but I wish women would stop like saying that we don't like poop, fart, and burp because it makes me look bad with how much I do talk about poop, farts, and burps. So can we just stop lying?
Great answer. Great answer. Name something you wish you would stop doing.
Oh my God, there's so many things. I wish I wouldn't let my anxiety just get the best of me. I feel like just like saying let anxiety get the best of me, it's such an umbrella for all of these bad habits I have. Like, I will overthink about one thing all day when there's so many other good things happening, and I'll just overthink about that one thing. Or like, I'll have a panic attack and like be rocking back and forth on my floor because one of my TikToks didn't go the way I thought it would go. Which it all sounds so crazy, but it's like my anxiety just turns me into like a mush.
No, I think that's fucking real. That's a great answer. It's a fucking real answer. Way to go. Way to answer that question. Because there is somebody out there who feels the exact same way you do and is like, fuck, okay, I'm not a psycho. I'm not alone or whatever. So amazing. Sexual memory you always go back to.
Ooh. I would say it's the sex tape I made with the guy, even though like he didn't end up like it wasn't the whole dream, whatever. It's what I have to look at when I masturbate. So that's what I always go back to because, it's weird. I like to masturbate to myself a lot.
I think you're just more in tune. First of all, I think that's normal, right? But I also think like you're more in tune. You seem like more in tune with yourself and your sexuality because of who you are. I think that's why we really keyed in on your how OnlyFans has evolved you. So I think that's part of it, really. So that's fucking really, really cool. Favorite guilty pleasure? It could be anything. It could be a song. It could be a fucking snack. It doesn't matter.
I feel like my guilty pleasure, because it sometimes does actually make me feel guilty, is like how often I cuddle my dog and like sometimes just don't even want to work or do anything else. And like one of the reasons it's like my guilty pleasure is because my sports therapist specifically tells me not to cuddle my dog because of how bad my alignment is. And I just have so much trouble not doing it. She's just the cutest little thing.
Guilty pleasure. Name a person, dead or alive. You can spend time with them. You can have sex with them, but you only can do this for 24 hours. Who is it? It's a tough one. People get hung up on this one.
See, I don't think I idolize anyone that much, dead or alive, to do that with. So I'm going to say no one.
Okay.
I don't care about other people that much.
Amazing. Backstreet Boys or NSYNC?
Neither.
Okay.
Step only over here.
Can you tell us a sex story that's crazy to you? Like something wild where you're like, Jesus, I can't believe that happened.
Huh.
Because to the noobs, we would be like, oh, for you, someone who's like, that's not that crazy, but something that like, oh wow, that was a wild time or whatever.
I feel like this. I mean, okay, so when I was in college, this isn't. I just think that this will be very interesting to viewers, and this wasn't just like a one-time occurrence, but something that I think almost everyone who hooked up with me in college can remember me by. Is one, I'll force them to listen to dubstep while we're fucking. Gotta have that 140 BPM to like set the beat of how I want them to fuck me. I don't like slow sensual sex. Like I want them to be beating the shit out of me, fucking me fast. And when I'm on top, even after college, I think just pretty much almost everyone who's fucked me in the past however many years, like 10 years, has experienced this. I will headbang to dubstep while I'm like writing them. And everyone, it's very memorable. I don't think men find it that pleasing. But
who cares?
To me, it makes it more enjoyable to be dancing to dubstep while riding your dick. So, I know the men are always kind of like, what the fuck? Or some of them think it's funny. And I feel like those are the ones I go back to fuck again because they get my sense of humor a little bit. But, yeah, it's definitely odd.
I think it's fucking hilarious. It's amazing. It's fucking great. Great fucking answer to the question too.
Thank you.
Flaming hot or probably not. So are you a fan of like the flaming hot snacks and shit or no?
No.
Okay.
No, I can't do anything spicy. I can bear it, like even medium salsa is pushing it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is why we ask. We have to get these answers. Favorite kind of movie to watch when you're feeling anxious? I don't know what. I mean, it could be like, is there something that calms you down?
So because of my anxiety, I cannot watch new TV shows or really new movies. So I have to rewatch the same TV shows and movies, and I have a rotation of them that I go through. So just to help with my anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So I watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. I watch Parks and Recreation. I'll watch The Office, and then I'll watch Blue Mountain State. So actually, they're all TV shows. I don't really watch movies, but they're all TV shows, and I'll just keep switching those four.
Yeah.
And then I always know what happens at the end of the shows so that I don't have anxiety about it.
That's actually really logical, and maybe people don't realize that's why they're doing. That's what the question is, because everybody has like a comfort movie or TV show. Mm-hmm. So perfect. And finally, say something to one of your exes. You don't have to say who. You just say whatever you want.
Get therapy. I did. You should too.
Boom. Hell yes. Adelia, aka Deelz, aka Daddy Deelz. Thank you so much for being on Sex Party. Where can people find you? Where can people stream all of your podcast stuff?
Yes. So all of my websites are going to be on It's Deelz. So itsdeelz.com. And in the itsdeelz.com, you can also find my podcast, or you can just type in that, which is that'soffensive.co, and that'll have all the links to my podcast.
Amazing. And then on social, right? You're in a couple different places.
Yeah, that's why I just always link people to my website. So
Yeah, it's easier.
in case I always get deleted, which I get deleted a lot, they can always see the updated version. Because can you imagine? I'm like, go follow me on What is the Deelz on Instagram, and then it's gone.
Yeah. Well, I will link all of your stuff regardless, because fuck them or whatever. But thank you so much for being here today. I'm gonna stalk you to come back in the future. So hopefully we can do that.
You really have to.
Yeah. Well, it worked out this time. So
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Big thank you to my guest this week, Adelia Acker, aka Deelz. Make sure you guys go check out all of her stuff on Instagram. Check out her podcast, That's Offensive. Check out her OnlyFans. And I hope everybody learned a fuck ton. I hope everybody had a good time. If you guys are having a good time in general every week with these episodes, if you're listening on platforms like Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, whatever bootleg app you get your podcasts on, there's a couple ways you can show that you're digging it. You can subscribe to the show. You can leave a review. You can leave a rating. You can send it around to your friends. I appreciate it if you do. You don't have to do these things. You know that. But if you do, it helps the show grow. If you are watching on YouTube, yo, what's up? How are you? Good. If you're watching on YouTube, you can like the video. You can subscribe to the channel. You can leave a comment. Much appreciated. Helps the show grow quickly. Got to grow it. Got to do some crazy stuff. Appreciate you guys so much. These last couple episodes have been a blast. You know what I'm going to say next? I will see you right back here next week.
Thanks for listening. The party continues next week. Click subscribe and let's make this a regular thing. Follow the show on Instagram and Twitter @SexPartyFM. Follow Dustin @Dustin Rybka.